Okay, hello guys. We are back with Superman and Lois season 4, episode 6. I mean, I got a smile on my face if you couldn't tell, but it's just one scene. I'm sure you know which scene I'm talking about, but we'll talk about it later. But let's just get right into it. The episode starts with Lex angry. He punches a few things, throws some glass, breaks a chair, smacks some stuff, and he's bleeding. He burns a photo of Elizabeth and all his knowledge and information that he's been keeping up with. Something they actually didn't really show, but you can kind of notice in the background, is his billboard that has been shown in his apartment or whatever has the information on Elizabeth and tracking her down, but the billboard's empty when we look after this scene. So just thought I'd take note of that. Once we're done seeing Lex's tantrum, we go to Jonathan, who has saved 304 people this morning. He's on a saving spree, getting busy, I guess. And Jordan gets a conversation about what he's going to do with his abilities in the future. And he says he's not ready for that kind of responsibility. So they recommend, Lois and Clark recommend that he takes a job at the diner and work with Sarah. And he super speeds away instantly. This was an audible laugh from me. This is funny. Run away from Sarah as far as you can, Jordan. We'll talk about that later in the episode.
Maybe Vicky Mays is hiring. Might be fun working with Sarah.
Then we go to Lana and Sarah, who are in this episode. They're doing laundry and talking about the future. Nothing much here, but they do make a comment about Lana spending time with Mr. Irons. More time. We haven't really seen that relationship since the end of season 3, but it's pretty cool. Then we go to Lois and Clark again at the Gazette, and Lois makes a comment about his salt and pepper, with a very funny scene of him constantly checking in the mirror to see his new gray hair coming in. And they are also looking into who works for Lex, like Gretchen, which isn't her name anymore, and Otis, and looking for any connections to who works for him and why. Then we go to Lex and Lana in a scene where he's been waiting half an hour in her office, and he confronts her about her constant blocks, about not letting him settle down in Smallville. This is the first example of showing unhinged Lex. He was bad before, but this is the first example of showing that he just doesn't care anymore. He instantly threatens to kill John Henry, pressures her aggressively, threatens John Henry Irons, and he's lost it. But Lana says she'll continue to block him, stands her ground. And then we go to a scene with Amanda and Lois after the commercial break. If you don't know, Amanda is the right-hand woman that works for Lex that was in this episode a bit. And Lois tells her that the reason he's settling down here is because he wants to harass their family. That's why. And Amanda's like, what? No, he's got the best interest in the company. And Lois is like, well, did he tell you that Elizabeth said that she'd like to spend time with him and he denied it just so he could get revenge on us? And she's like, what? And then Lois leaves. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was a very basic explanation. But then we see Clark at the Britton Dunn's Mart with Denise as the cashier, who now knows Clark's identity with her racing heartbeat. And we see Clark purchasing some hair dye, which is very funny. At the same time, the boys are at the diner talking with Sarah, and Coach Gaines comes in and asks them to join the football team again, and saying that they need to take advantage of their powers. Coach Gaines says this out of the blue. They're like, what? And Coach Gaines knows the secret. We actually don't know how this episode, but we know that he does, and he wants to use it for football. But then back at the Mart, Lana comes in, and Clark tries to hide the dye in his pocket multiple times, actually, and fails. But they talk, and Lana says that she could use his help convincing, I'm sorry guys, I forgot her name, but the lady who we've seen a lot as an extra, who owns the farmland that Lex wants to use to rebuild his industry in Smallville, and she's agreeing to let him have it for 5 times what her place is worth. And Lana and Clark want to go convince her to not do this, so they drive over to her place. They say Lex is a really bad man, basically. That's what they say. I really wish they would have went more in depth, like he murdered people, but they just say he's pretty bad. She's like, okay, if you say so, Superman, basically. But I'm sorry, I'm getting a little flustered here. But she says that Clark has done enough for the people of Smallville and the world that she might as well do something for him, and basically insinuating that she knows his secret as well. Everyone seems to know his secret lately. Denise and Chuck. It started with Chuck, then it was Denise. Now this episode we know Coach Gaines and her. Like, people are knowing the secret, and it's becoming less of a secret. And this definitely isn't for no reason. This is a trend. Superman and Lois, the writers are purposely doing this for some sort of ending. And I want to talk about that here for a second. Now, there's a few things I could think of, I guess. What I think is going to happen is that eventually the entire town of Smallville is going to know that Superman lives here. And they're going to all agree to keep his secret in this town. They're going to keep it together with them in their community. And honestly, I would really love this ending. I think it fits with the themes of love, family, and community. And they're already so thankful for what Clark does and has done as Superman that they will keep it for him, and kind of just connects the town and makes the town have this little secret that the rest of the world does not know. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. Or it could be something where eventually it gets out to the whole world and they have to deal with that. But I feel like the Smallville approach is better and what they're going to go for. But then Lois and Clark start talking about this and his identity. That more and more people are getting to know. And that's pretty much it. They just talk about that, and then they get interrupted by Jonathan, who comes in with food, some bagels from Montreal. And I gotta tell you guys, I was watching this while hungry. Like, I just denied myself a burrito, and yeah, this made me pretty hungry. But then we go back to the diner with Sarah being annoying. Nothing new, right? Sarah being selfish again when Jordan is asking her to please let him work at the diner. I don't know why he even needs her permission, but I guess he's just being nice. She's like, oh, we're not hiring. Then he pulls up the hiring sign, and yeah, she basically says she doesn't need her ex-boyfriend working around her. And I just like, she's just thinking about herself as usual. But then she starts getting mad at him for wanting to get a job here at the diner, and saying that if she had his powers, she'd be actually having fun and getting a summer job wherever she wanted in the world. And it just sounded like she'd be an idiot with powers. Like, she sounded like she'd be an irresponsible idiot with her powers. And he's trying to tell her it's not like that. He can't just do that. But whenever she's we don't need Sarah for much long. I'll talk about that a little more later. Then John gets a talk from Lois and Clark about using his powers as much as he is. He got 304 saves in the morning. You know, he's going to Montreal to get bagels. Like, he's going all out, and they're kind of telling him to maybe slow it down a bit. Then we go to the bar, the town bar, with Lex and Amanda in there. And basically, Lex's lawyers with this woman who owns this land that was going to make this deal is saying, no, I'm not going to make this deal anymore. And Lex says $10 million to everyone in this bar if she accepts this deal. And this is the moment I was like, oh, he's gone crazy obsessed with this. He's going to give $10 million to everyone here just so he can stay in Smallville. Like he's wild. And I was like, shoot, they're gonna accept this. It's 10 million a person. It's no longer just about her. It's about her helping get money to the rest of the people. But the people of Smallville rise up. They start with saying that this is obviously fishy. If he wants it this bad, they say not to trust him. They band together and stand up to him, telling him no. And he leaves the bar angry. Then we come back from commercial break to see Lex and Amanda in an argument. Basically, Amanda is letting Lois's past comments this episode get to her head and talking about why he really wants to stay in Smallville. What are his true motives? Lex asks her if she really believes in him, and she says, I don't know. He goes over to her, touches her arms like compassionately, and I expected him to like try and manipulate her, convince her, but he says, then figure it out. Since she said I don't know. And then he gives her an ultimatum that she needs to choose him or them. I don't know what them means, but I guess just not him. And then we get Sarah talking with Lana again about studying abroad. Sarah, still being an idiot. No way she'll get a scholarship. She keeps saying, oh, I'll get a scholarship. Oh, I'll travel. I'm gonna be fine leaving the house at 16. And then she says, I need something life-changing in my life or life's gonna suck. And this is just, gosh, I hate Sarah, guys. This is just her personality. She just needs something life-changing. She can't be content, I guess. And then in this scene, I couldn't help but think about Sophie. Sophie has no idea that her sister wants to leave. And they didn't even mention Sophie at all. Like, Sarah didn't mention that she'd be leaving her sister or anything like that. They just talked about the mother-daughter relationship, which I thought was funny. Then we get a conversation with Lois and Clark in their bedroom with a confirmation that John Henry and Lana have been dating for over a month that they now know, which is pretty cool. And Lois confronts Clark about dyeing his hair in the bathroom, and they get a talk about Clark getting old. He thought he'd never get old, but the what's the word? I guess the happiness out of this conversation is that Clark says he'll get to age with her. They'll get to age together, which he thought he'd never be able to do, which is pretty sweet, actually. Then we come back from commercial to a thunderstorm, which was some pretty cool shots. There was some lightning and thunder, and that's just in the background at this point of the episode now. And also, can we talk about the way Jordan's holding this controller? Like, as a gamer who is playing with a controller like every day, this is not the way you hold the controller if you want to at least be average at a video game. I'm sorry. Then we go to Lana, who wakes up suddenly, and she goes into the kitchen to see the gas is on with the oven open. She gets jumped by Otis, and this is here where we see like a virus symbol on John Henry Iron's security, which reminds me of a Brainiac symbol, which makes me think Milton or Brainiac. I don't know why I'm saying the name like that. Brainiac is the reason that John Henry's security didn't work, because it was top-notch security based on what we learned. It's Otis. He's choking her. Like, I was actually, for a few seconds, I thought Lana might die here. But Sarah comes in with the bat. Bang, bang. 2 bats, and he's down. We come back to see an ambulance at the house, and windows all up because of the concern of gas. They got Otis arrested, and Lana starts crying, saying how scared she was that Sarah was in the house. And also this shot here, I knew Clark was in Lana's house in the teaser. This shot right here is from the teaser, and I had a little debate about if he was in Lana's house or the Kent house, and I'm glad my instincts were right, and it was Lana's house. That's just unrelated. But we see Clark listening to this, and he's getting fed up. He's getting fed up with seeing his friend this devastated. After seeing this response from Lana, Clark is out for blood. He runs up, or he walks up to Lex's place, like from outside. He is screaming at him. He is yelling at him to come out here, and yelling at him that he would do this to his friend and their 16-year-old daughter, that he's been harassing their family, that he killed his father-in-law. And I've never seen Clark this angry, not even close to this angry. We never have seen this. It was exciting and like scary at the same time to see Tyler Hoechlin act like this, and I was scared for his heart the whole time. But Clark grabs him and says, "We are going to end you." And this is Clark's not true colors showing, but his darkness showing. And of course, Lex comes out with a remote and activates the street lights into red solar flares. Like, this pissed me off. I was like, dang it. Can we just see Lex get destroyed by Clark? But the red solar flares activate, and Lex says he's nothing with his powers. And they fight in the thunderstorm with the red flares, in the rain, in the lightning. And this is the scene I was so hyped about at the beginning of this recording. Like, this scene is a top 10 scene of the series, 100%. They fight in the thunderstorm. But to be honest here, I was thinking Lex kind of has an advantage. Like, obviously Clark had an advantage before the red solar flares. But if he wanted a fair fight, he gave himself the advantage. It's a little... I don't know. He said he wanted fair, but the red solar flares do more than just take away Clark's powers. They really weaken him. But they fight in a crazy battle, a fist fight, leg fight, choking, like a Clark versus Lex brutal fight between each other. And seeing Clark actually be this violent was pretty insane. Then Lois and the boys show up while Clark is getting kicked and kicked and kicked against the car. I just felt so like ugly and bad in this moment that Clark was getting this beat up, because I love this Clark, you know. And Lois stops the boys from helping, and it was weird. It was like Elizabeth Tillich's expressions this episode were a little weird. It's like, it almost looked like she was smiling to me. I know that's a little weird and nitpicky, but it was just like she didn't want them to help, but I think they really should have helped. Once Clark looks like he's getting, destroyed, he breaks Lex's fingers and smashes him against the car and starts to choke him. Lex starts to laugh at this and basically is like, takes this as a win. That Superman, he says, is a facade, and that Superman is not real, and now his family has just seen him for the man who he truly is, which is obviously not true. Deep down, Clark has talked about before holding back his power and trying to keep in control of his emotions, but yeah. And then Clark steps on the remote that activated the red solar flares, and I was a little confused. I was like, can you at least press that first to make sure they turn off? We actually don't know for sure if they turned off, but I'm guessing. We come back from commercial break to see Clark putting ice on himself and that he is not healed. He's waiting for the sun, which we do know heals him when it comes up, but he is used to healing even with the sun not up. And the boys come in saying it was an awesome fight. He's like, this is not an awesome fight. No one won this battle today. We're gonna have to deal with Luther still. This is also the scene where Jordan realizes he's got to use his powers again. He's got to get his confidence back, because it's more of a danger to people when he's not using his abilities. The ending, we see Lana and Sarah talk, reconcile what happened, and Lana tells her she should study abroad. And then also they hug, but the trailer teaser used a different hug, like a deleted scene, which is just kind of weird. It's kind of BS, but anyways, the cops are protecting Lana and her house, and Sarah's leaving. Yay! Then she says she's deciding between, I believe it was Greece and Italy, and both the boys say, let's take you there and see which one you like. And they superfly her in the open, and she screams loudly to alert more attention to them, but I guess everyone's known their secret. The episode ends with Lex in Metropolis. He is stitching himself, and Lex didn't realize Clark was no weakling. he was actually surprised that Clark had fight in him besides his abilities, which is great. Amanda comes in and says she chooses him, then cuts his stitches, and this scene was a little gross because it was like she was like attracted to him and cutting his stitches. But Amanda says she has a plan, that they need a suit. And spoiler alert, from the trailers, we know this is John Henry's suit they are going to steal. But yeah, that's the episode, guys. That was a long one today. I'm sorry. It'll probably be shorter next week, but maybe not. These episodes just have a lot going on in them because it is the final season. It's only 10 episodes. But thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day, and look out for that teaser tomorrow. Goodbye.